Just using the X3 system to warm up before we get in this cold plunge. Vlog day.
It's a vlog, I guess. Vlogging pleasant experiences. Cool. Wow. Yeah, I told myself I was going to be excited about this on the way over.
This will be your 5th session?
Is this waterproof mic?
No.
I'm going to try and go on your 4th session.
You gonna dunk your head?
Well, I did shoulders today, so I was going to try and get my shoulders under. So
There you go. That works.
Try that. Oh, it's chilly. Warm 36.
Yep. No ice today. Despite having turned it down yesterday. I mean, there's a bit of ice at the bottom, but none to hammer on top. How many minutes are you going for this time?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure some things out.
All right, let's see what time we're at right now. All right. Good. So the key with this we found is trying not to think about it. Sometimes we can play music, like didgeridoo music, and if you think about the music, you don't think about the cold so much. Other tips are just nasal breathing, breathing through the nose, trying not to hyperventilate or give in to that fight or flight response, which happens within the first about 10 seconds of getting into the pool. If you can get through that, you can usually get to about a minute. 3 minutes is where you're going to see a lot of the benefits, the anti-inflammatory benefits. I was just looking at some studies the other day, how it can help with treating adhesive capsulitis. It's a terribly painful condition. There's not a lot of treatment out there, but whole body cryotherapy seems to have very good anti-inflammatory benefits, specifically for this condition. The other conditions would be osteoarthritis, where you can see fantastic improvement in pain across the board. And then there's even studies showing that it improves lipid parameters, so including reductions of triglycerides, reductions of LDL, cholesterol, improving HDL, which is incredible. Sometimes even equivalently or even better than what a Lipitor could do, so atorvastatin. So that's pretty cool. I mean, a lot of these studies are done with nitrogen sort of cryotherapy. So that's where people get into this tank. It's way more expensive than this thing. And it's kind of more difficult to use, so I didn't get it. But I think you can get similar benefits with doing the cold plunge as well. The other real benefit we're seeing potentially is converting white adipose tissue to brown adipose tissue. So white adipose tissue is the less metabolically active form of fat. This is found a lot in people's visceral fat, so the fat on the abdomen. But supposedly with cryotherapy, you can convert this white adipose tissue to brown adipose tissue, which is a more metabolically active form of fat. It's less inflammatory, less risk for cardiovascular disease. So that's pretty cool because we don't have much treatment for that, and cryotherapy seems to be pretty much the only way to do that sort of change. Then besides that, for athletics, the way we're looking at using it for athletes is, one, if you have a tennis player, a professional tennis player, they'll actually improve their shot put accuracy by doing regular cold plunging before and after tennis sessions. Now, if you're thinking about it from a bodybuilding perspective, you may not want to do cryotherapy afterwards, because when you do a muscle breakdown, you get an inflammatory response that helps build muscle. So it may not be so great after a bodybuilding session, unless you have a lot of pain and maybe you did a bit too much that day. Maybe you would want to cool off the inflammation. But what we're seeing alternatively is doing cryotherapy prior to resistance training. And you can get a lot of beneficial hormonal adaptations to that. Besides that, it would be good for patients who are, or athletes who are overtraining. So this would be someone who is training every day, maybe twice a day. They're just not getting their body time to recover. This can be very helpful towards reducing inflammation. Athletes, specifically young athletes, will run into a lot of overuse sort of injuries, right? I was just coaching the tennis team the other day, and a girl, she's developed medial epicondylitis, so golfer's elbow. This is an overuse injury. I think it also has some level to do with diet, so poor inflammatory diet, a lot of gluten, breads, fried foods, and so forth. But she's out there on the tennis court popping 600, 800 milligram ibuprofens. Probably not the best thing to do. Cryotherapy, on the other hand, can rapidly reduce all these inflammatory cytokines to the degree, potentially, where you can get a pain relief benefit and maybe not have to overconsume these anti-inflammatory medicines that have potentially harmful consequences when repeated again and again. So a lot of benefits for cryotherapy. The other benefits we're using it for is vagal nerve stimulation. Patients with anxiety, depression, PTSD, trauma. So there's definitely a significant mental health component to cryotherapy.
In terms of PTSD, and it was affecting my physical life, my mental life, and everything. I never thought that ice would be the answer. When I was trying to deal with PTSD and handle it in my own ways, I was a mess. My hands would shake, I would have panic attacks, I would cry all the time, and I was always scared. That fear is gone now. I don't have nightmares anymore. Ice baths absolutely saved my life. I never thought that I would be able to live a calm, stable life with the relief that I have now.
But then there's a lot of just physiologic and hormonal changes that are difficult to quantify when it relates to mental health. But you can see again and again a lot of anecdotes on the internet about people doing cryotherapy. It's fantastic for their PTSD, kind of the only thing that helps. So I think it can be very helpful towards reducing some of those mental health related panic disorders. If you think about some of the hormonal changes, when you get to about 3 to 10 minutes, you see massive increases in cortisol, in adrenaline, and so you get this release of these neurotransmitters. And we all think that cortisol is bad, you shouldn't have cortisol. Well, cortisol is good, and it seems to have some effect cryotherapy has a definite effect on cortisol and dopamine and adrenaline response. How'd you like it, Tyler?
That's a nice one. It's not so bad. After this is my 4th time, I think you just have to kind of figure out what the sensation is. It's not really pain. I think pain is a simple way to describe it, but once you figure out it's not like pain, it's just a little bit cold, then it gets easier. But if I talk a bunch, then I start shivering, so.
The shivering component is potentially what you want to achieve. When you shiver, that's when you know you've achieved a lot of the benefits. But maybe you can acclimate to yourself to the point where you no longer shiver with this, like Wim Hof does. My toes just get too cold. My extremities. I'm going to try to submerge them for a bit. My hands as well. See how I do here. But yeah, nope, it's too painful in my toes. I don't know why it's so cold in my toes. Probably related to my hypothyroidism. But David God was yelling at you or something. Yeah.
At that time, I knew what happened in their minds. They were living off the hope factor. They hoped the instructors would stop running. They hoped the water was never cold. They hoped the weather was good. I don't live off that hope. I wish the water was cold.
Luckily, we're in Florida.
I wish the instructors keep on running. I wish the rain.
Down in the sun.
When the ending is
Try to warm
unknown.
up after this.
And the distance is unknown.
And then obviously we have
That's when you know who the you
free
are.
resistance band training system here, so you can go and use that outside in the sun to try to warm up. And then soon we're going to develop the whole outside gym turf area here, so you can go and you can do some exercises out there to warm up with some of our amenities. But what you may not want to do is actually go into our sauna after this, right? You're supposed to actually let yourself gradually warm up without some sort of external stimuli like the sauna. Potentially going to the sauna before this would probably be the better way to do it. I want more ice in here. Maybe I'll turn it down a little bit more. Or just give it another day, because we did fill it up with water the other day a little bit more. It helps if patients are a little bit careful getting in and out of this, so we don't lose too much of the water, potentially squeegeeing yourself. And then letting some water, because if people get in and out of this, we'll lose a lot of water, and then we have to warm it up again with like water from the tap. So this boot map, if people could just pour the water back in, we can lose less water. This Morozko it is ozonated, so it filters out bacteria and microbes, but it won't filter out cream. So I'd ask patients not to come in here with sunscreen, any sort of sprays, even if it's like an essential oil. Some patients are sensitive to that stuff, so don't come in here with essential oil, perfumes, colognes, body sprays, hair dyes, and obviously you wouldn't want to come in here after applying topical hormone replacement, so estrogen, progesterone, testosterone compounds. You should apply those in the morning. You go throughout your day, and then you take a shower, body soap to rinse it off afterwards. If you're coming in here in the morning, you come in here first, do the cold plunge, and then afterwards you would apply your topical hormone creams. But we're just trying to keep this safe for everyone to use. A little bit of a shiver here.
Come on. Nothing wrong with a little bit of shiver.
Yeah, it feels
And
good.
deep back breathing helps. Just to warm you up and in there.
This is
It's,
good.
I mean, we saw a couple. His sister and her friend did it the other day. It was some people can make it look easier or more difficult. If you hesitate, it's always going to be more difficult. So just hopping in.
Just hop in. Don't think about it. We had one girl here the other day, and she went in and out like 4 times before she just YOLO'd it, and she was in there 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was good. I'm getting better at this. Every time I'm getting better.
Ice where the coils are, I guess.
The coils are going hard today. They're trying to get it down, I think, colder. So we'll see what it looks like tomorrow. Maybe we'll have an ice sheets on this tomorrow. Be nice. Good, good.
Alrighty.